All right. Let's get your phones put away. We'll get started. We're skipping a couple of units.
Yeah,
We're
Zach
going
Junior.
to lesson 11.
What the hell? Just on what, 9?
Why are you recording that?
I gotta do this in class.
What?
Class in a minute. No, not right now.
Why?
Because you gotta wait 10 minutes.
Did they just hear me cuss? Oh,
You big dummy!
shut the hell up.
Come on, packets out. Lesson
Okay.
11.
I have a question.
Okay.
Can I close some of those blinds back there? I have a headache.
I'll do
She
you
got
something
Tourette's.
better.
She got Tourette's. She can't stand
You're,
noise.
you're lucky that we're recording.
Let's leave the windows open.
She's cussing,
And
guys.
lights
She's
off.
cussing,
Get
y'all.
a few lights off back here.
Bro, why would you just look like that? You look like that shit or something.
What?
No way.
Yes, lesson 11. Dalton, you got your packet?
I forgot.
Oh, I lost it.
Pull that guy out.
Why?
Stop! Secret
You gonna cry, Tommy? There you go.
Tedious.
I'm
Come
so
on.
scared.
Maybe change your
You
shape.
know who my brother
I did.
is?
Yeah.
Dude, my beard was getting burly. So it was perfect. I was outside in the cold all weekend.
What are you talking about?
I was in
Kinda
South
like-
Dakota.
You know what it is?
What?
Shape.
No.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Looks like Stanley Steamer. Certified cleaner.
All right.
That's messed up.
Okay. New concept today. You guys may have not heard. Okay, so pay close attention. We're looking at imaginary numbers. Okay, so we're going to explore imaginary numbers and understand how to solve things that are under a negative square root. So up until this point, when we got something like the square root of -9, we would just say no solution.
What the hell?
Okay?
What are you doing? Come on,
Take
man.
this, stop, come on. Now we're gonna actually solve these, okay? And we're gonna use something called I.
You can't have a negative.
So, I'm gonna have the video here explain about imaginary numbers.
They're real. Well, they're not real. They're imaginary. But
We got 5 of these.
okay, so we all know about real numbers. Real numbers is actually kind of a bad name for me because it makes it sound like anything that isn't a real number isn't, well, real. Like, not real in real life. But imaginary numbers, even though they're not real numbers, are
Put that
real
away.
in
Hey,
real
bro.
life.
This is my number.
What I'm
This is
trying
one
to
kind
say
of
is
thing,
that
bro.
you use both real numbers and imaginary numbers in real life.
Why you always
Some people, depending on what they do, use imaginary numbers a whole lot. But most people
You
use
better get
real
a pound
numbers
for
like
back.
Oh, come on, Brad.
the real numbers are the kinds of normal numbers that we use regularly, like
Yellow.
integers, decimals, fractions,
Here.
positive and negative numbers, big numbers and small numbers,
You're gonna
that
throw
kind of
it.
thing.
Come on.
Imaginary numbers, on the other hand, are any numbers that include the imaginary number I, like these.
That's
The
dog.
I
There you
stands
go.
for imaginary, and it represents
What's in my
one
lid?
exact specific
What's in my
value,
lid?
just like the exponential number, or like pi.
You took my lid.
The exponential number is about 2.7,
Come on.
Took
and
my
pi is about
sunflower.
3.14. Well, the imaginary number I is very specifically the square root of -1. Now you might be thinking, since when are we allowed to take the square root of a negative number?
I do a TikTok while they're watching.
Hundreds of years ago, before the
Yeah.
imaginary number, we had no way to deal with square roots of negative numbers. If somebody was trying to work out the answer to a problem, and they got to the square root of a negative number, they were just like, well, guess we're gonna have to stop there. And you might be thinking, why do I even need to bother? You probably only have to use I for really hard equations that I'm never gonna see. But that's actually not the case. Without I, we can't even solve this super simple polynomial equation. We get to x squared equals -4, and we can't go any further. But with I, we actually can solve this. If we take the square root of both sides, we get x is positive or negative square root of -4. Then we can say that -4 is the same as 4 times
This is
-1.
important, how we're gonna solve
And our
these.
rules for square roots tell us that we can split the square root of the product of two numbers into separate square roots. So we get x is positive or negative
Imagine
square
being
root of
this one.
4 times square root of -1. Or x is positive or -2 times square root of -1. square root of 4. And since we know that square root negative 1 is the imaginary number I, we can say that x is now positive or negative 2I.
You look so crazy in there.
So what's I exactly? Well, I is defined as the square root of negative 1, such that when you multiply I by itself, you get negative 1. We have no way, using real numbers, to multiply a number by itself and come up with a negative result. Squaring a real number always gives a positive number, whereas squaring the imaginary number actually does give a negative number. So next time you hear someone talking about imaginary numbers, you'll know they're not talking about some fake numbers that don't exist, but instead about this imaginary number called I.
Dude.
Bro, you don't say that, right?
I is a root of negative 1.
Yes.
Sorry.
Alright, open your packets up then to 11.1.
Why do you have a video over there?
And we're going to start
He
working
has
on
to
this.
record it. To show his classmates how bad we are.
No, the shot dumb she, Haley is.
So that's why you both copy off my work?
Hey,
What?
go start with me.
Guys,
Let's put a greater good.
Go.
Really? Is it recording?
Didn't she sound so white when she said that?
Yeah.
Really? Really?
okay,
Fine.
pay attention.
They took the other half of my pencil.
She's not. I heck.
Pay attention. Try this.
Ow!
Use what you know about squares and square roots. Can you solve these problems?
Trying to tell you something. Turn me on.
You know the truth can solve.
Make girls that look like this.
Dude.
Guys, quiet. What?
You wanna smoke?
It does,
What's
actually.
up? So fucking
Hey.
grandpa fast.
Hey, are you going to have to leave?
No.
Okay,
You already
keep it
left for one class.
Shut up. It's my start teacher. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Keep it together. Okay.
And
Don't.
Which one?
I left you guys were autistic in that room.
You want the smoke part?
Don't. Give me the phone.
We're doing this.
Hey, give me the phone.
I'll put it.
Disappear. I don't want to see it. If I see it, I mean it. If I see it, it's gone. Someone's coming to get it. Okay.
Okay.
Deal.
Okay.
Tadius,
Oh.
I need you on task.
Yeah.
I heard two thoughts. Jonathan says I can take 2 times 2 because you're saying 2 squared. Right? Kelsey says, doesn't the square cancel the bracket? Also correct. So basically what I end up with here is 2 times 2, which gives me 4, and this square just takes off the bracket, and I end up with 3.
Triple it.
4 times 3 is what?
Hey, hey, hey. 3, 6, 9, 12.
12.
Fuck you. Hey, you big dummy.
Hey, last opportunity, inappropriate language, class distractions, I'm not gonna have it. You will be gone. Okay? Last chance. You gotta keep it together here for not very much longer, about 20 minutes.
It's a long time.
20 minutes
I can't even watch a movie.
Dalton, give me the phone.
Watch a movie.
Alright, I'm gonna.
It was really important.
Here's the thing, you can hand it to me and I can put it on my desk.
So I'm
or you can do it after class.
important message.
The other option is I call somebody and they come down and get it. So
Phone
It
choice.
was really an important message.
the choice is yours. It can go on my desk or I can call
I'm
somebody
really
and come
done.
in.
I had to tell Mo in class.
It's a choice. Which one's it gonna be?
He was blowing up my phone.
I'm not gonna waste any more time.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's going on my desk or I call somebody and
Oh
come and
my
get it.
God.
Yeah.
You will, dude, I promise you.
That's how you like it. Like it looks
I'll make the call.
so fucking
So they on your back.
Then keep it unplugged.
No.
Yeah. I'm not gonna listen.
Chill out.
I'm not gonna
Stop, he's gonna listen.
That's what you get your
Bad.
comments.
That's the next girl, bro. He gonna get your ass kicked out.
Guys, how are we gonna handle this next?
Bro, she told you to shut up.
You can't square 1/2.
What does it mean when it's squared?
It's,
Haley went there.
we're gonna times it by 2.
Not times 2, but times itself, right? Can we take 1/2 times itself?
I could tell you.
Sure. We can.
Yeah.
1/2 times 1/2.
Bro, that don't hurt.
That takes care of that. 2.
No, that shit hurts.
And we already know what to do with this, right?
That's something more.
What happens there?
That is
Cancels out, the bracket cancels out the square.
Go ahead. Take a mini whooping.
Now, Stephanie, do you know how to multiply a fraction?
Bro, what?
You said you always,
No?
Should I?
Robert, do you know how to multiply fractions? Okay,
you said the bottom number will stay the same, right?
if you were adding them, they stay the same.
So you do,
When we multiply a fraction,
I'll smack your
we just do it straight across.
so 2 times 2?
Dalton, put that in
Four.
your way, please, before you
Two.
use it.
Yeah.
Stop with just all
2
that.
times
You too, put that stuff away before you lose it.
She didn't leave out here.
Yeah, you granny Norma.
Put it away.
2 times 2 is 4, and then you
Unless
times
you need to
3.
reach it.
Put it away.
You have to be 1.
When we multiply a fraction, we multiply straight across.
So one stays the same.
One stays the same. What happens to the denominators?
2 and 2 is 4.
Oh, the
times
fake ass
3.
Gucci
It's
belt.
not fake.
Dollar Tree.
It's not fake.
Dollar Tree.
I'm good.
Dollar Tree, bro.
No.
James, how do I make 3 into a fraction?
Divide.
He don't know. He don't even know how to
That's
do
how you
that.
divide it.
How do you take a whole number and make a fraction?
Divide 100.
Bro,
Just put
Oh,
a-
yeah, put that.
Just put a 1.
nah.
Bro, Jonathan, show me your fake Gucci belt, your Dollar Tree Gucci belt.
Want to see it?
Yeah, same as yours, man.
This ain't even fake, dummy.
Guys, come on. How do we multiply this? 3 times
You just
1.
mad you don't got to be quiet.
And then 4 times 1.
Yeah, Haley. You need a Gucci woman belt?
3/4.
Why would you pay $1,000 for a
I'm
belt?
worried.
She be wearing a fubu,
You want to see my
So you multiply the
Oh,
top
Zach?
and the bottom?
Zach just paid $25.
Yeah, you multiply straight across.
Yeah, Zach Coach just paid $25
That's
for
it?
some busted ass car that looks like it's gonna last 2 seconds. You know, turn it on and
You
get
know
you.
he can't drive. He'll get pulled over.
You can.
Who?
You can't drive alone if you have.
I know he can. I try to tell him that man shit.
I got pulled over for it.
James Jonathan, come back.
I don't have my license.
Here we go. How we gonna handle this?
Who you talking like that? Oh, that one? Right, they coming around.
Wait, I want to see your Dollar Tree belt.
3 divided by 4. Hold on, I'll find out the answer.
How do we handle this one? Next one.
Bro!
You mean the bottom one?
Yeah, this one
Not
actually
your
goes.
best.
This
Shane,
actually
Just
goes-
papers all
Really?
over it. It's pointless taking.
That stuff
Chris,
goes
I'm
over
ripping
here.
my
with this
paper.
other one.
Mr. Shane.
That did not even mean to do it.
Yes, I thought.
Quiet.
So I thought, little bitch. Yeah, baby, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Be quiet, credit or debit.
Mentally and physically.
Bro, I take cash only. That's what's up. ATM, bro. You can afford me, bro.
No, I'm not.
Got to have.
Just saying that you got a credit machine on the back of your
Here's the
head.
deal. I'm not gonna spend the whole rest of class dealing with you guys, so you just be out of here next time.
Stop wanting to call now.
Huh?
Do you want me to call now?
For him, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look.
For you.
He's messing with the debit machine.
We're taking a look. Are we ready to go?
Credit for them.
We wasted about 10 minutes of everyone else's time.
The square
I'm
root.
always doing good,
Come
though.
on.
It's him to be distracting me.
No.
I do good with him.
Are you ready to listen? How are we gonna handle this?
2 is cancels the bracket square.
Cancels out.
So now you do,
But then we also have
you're in the 2 times 2.
this one still. So we have 4 times what?
Times 2.
No, 2 times 2 gave us our 4. And
That's
then
negative 1.
times a
can it be no, solution? Cause
We can multiply positive and a negative. What do we get?
-4.
-4. Alright. What about the last one?
same thing, cancels the bracket.
Cancel the bracket.
Yeah, like the second one.
Yeah, just like the second one. So you got 1/2 squared, and that square takes out the bracket. So what's 1/2 squared?
1/2 times 1/2.
You that.
1/4 times -1.
Bro, that's my book.
-4.
That's my art book.
Stop. Dude, why'd you just break it?
-1/4. Any questions on this?
Oh, I think I got it.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah,
What?
Bro,
because I'm having surgery.
on what?
My ankle.
It's pretty.
Why?
Why what?
Biggest thing that we have to know here, square root of -1 is equal to
She's broken on page.
I'm having surgery.
I.
She put her foot in
I
my
have
foot.
a blood clot in my foot.
Damn.
And so they have
Square root of -1 is gonna be equal to I. This is gonna be real important for what's coming
Yeah,
up.
been sworn enough.
I squared
You get that.
Like you work out.
equals -1.
Yeah, he sits on that section, he's dumb.
Bro, I don't even eat donuts like that. Bro.
Yes, you do.
I do work out.
No, you don't.
I just don't work out my stomach.
You're gonna want that in your notes.
You wanna have a nice body shape, you gotta work out your stomach too.
Bro, I can just do ab workouts and get this going in like 2 days.
Oh.
Bro, I can do like 800 ab workouts in 1 day. I'll get done. Yeah.
Run. You gotta run,
No, bro.
lose a little weight.
I run all the time. That's not me.
Weight.
You will run for like 5 minutes with me, like, oh.
Don't start with me, cause I'll rush your ass.
No, you won't.
You gotta run every day, bro.
Race me.
Gotta run every
Race
day,
me.
new
Guys,
weights,
back on
run
task.
every day.
I'll dust you, shut up.
Back on task. Go down the page, see if you can solve these next 3.
Now you eat greasy food.
Y'all also smoke too, so that's all
I
y'all.
don't know, smoke.
No one does that.
Yeah, you do.
For,
Why do you do?
yeah,
See,
only
go down and see if you can
one.
solve these next
See
3
if this
problems.
is on one that gets high. Weirdo.
Stay with us. Get your packet.
Look at your kicked out right now. Ready? Ready? He's talking about drugs in school. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of
These.
this.
Come on.
You're
Solve these
stupid.
problems.
He already heard you, dumbass.
Solve these problems. What you get for the
Look
first
what
one?
you
Shut
get.
up.
Could be a little connection, you.
Alright.
No, I actually got kicked out if I really wanted to. Thanks a lot. You guys both kicked out. Apparently, yeah.
Hi, Lori. Can I get an escort down to the Learning Center?
Bruh.
Thank you. All right. Bye. All right.
Bro, I hate Lori, bro. I don't even care.
Number
I don't
one.
really like her. I don't even know.
Alright, well.
8 times 8 is 8.
How do we get rid of the square?
Shit's fucking lame, bro.
Then she put it on the, by the
Got both
16,
spots.
this way.
Yeah.
Not the square, but we gotta get the square off of the A first, right?
Bro, take them now.
Square root.
We have to get them after school.
Square root the A,
So we're gonna square root the A, and what we do to one side,
we have to do
we
to
do to
the
the
other.
other. So,
That shit's fucking lame.
take this. You don't have to go out with a bang, just go out, okay?
I don't know what to anyway.
So, the square root takes off the square, we end up with A equals,
You guys are only in the 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh man, bro. Well, I ain't never been to Learning Center.
What's the square root of
16?
16? Just leave that there,
Why?
because that's taken to the end. I'll return it into the office.
Wait, I'm not, no, because then they're not gonna give it back to us until after
Yeah.
our parents come.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's fucking lame.
That's not my choice. That was your
Not doing
choice.
it. Because I wasn't even on it when he took it.
You were on it.
I
when
changed
took it.
one song.
You were on it when I took
Why
it.
is it
right?
sticky
Yeah.
right here?
For 1 second though, and I haven't been on it all the time.
I'm done with you guys.
Why is it sticky?
Bro.
Four.
I literally do my work in here.
Square root of 16 is 4.
I do my work in
Did you do the
here.
same for all of these, Shane?
Yes.
And my shoes are sticky to the
Same
floor.
process for everything. That's all right. I'll have the escort get it from you.
Oh my god.
Here, Bill.
On it for 5 seconds, bro. That's so stupid.
You've wasted everyone's time for 20 minutes.
I need a
That was
calculator.
your choice.
Dude, where is he at?
Just stay
He's
put
here now.
until they get here. Sit down in the back and do whatever you're gonna do.
I broke the calculator.
Breathe.
When it to be free.
Octavius, just stay here.
Jesus.
Have a seat. They'll come when they get here. Come when they get here for you.
Two is three. Because it's negative 9 again.
Well, you square root both sides, right?
So you get B.
And now we have a square root of a negative, so
B equals B equals 3.
we break that into
Negative 6B.
square root of negative 1 times the square root of 9.
Oh, where are you going?
See what I did there?
Wait, where'd you get the 1 from now?
I just pulled out the negative 1 because you have a negative 9 under there. So I can pull that out as a square root.
John, does it say 9 or negative 9?
Just a 9.
Yeah. I was on one little time you took it. That was bogus.
Life is broken.
Warning for what? Why was you even on it though?
Being on the phone.
For talking, yeah. Digging warning for that. Alright, good.
Okay, so you guys see where I got the negative 1 from?
Oh, so you get just 9.
So I got just a positive 9 times the negative 1
So
gives me
we'll do
negative
that
9.
with
That shit's fucking
C.
lame.
Michael Freeze to student services, please.
Now.
Michael
Oh,
Freeze
yeah,
to student
yeah,
services.
Hold on, hold on a second.
The square root of negative 1
Little
is
cheap, oh, turn over.
I. Okay?
Use to-
Oh, I get it now.
So this one becomes an I.
So for everything that's a negative, you do by negative 1.
Yes.
You want one, not me.
Now, what is the square root of 9?
Three.
Just 9.
3.
Go on recording.
Because 3 times 3 is 9. So I end up with 3
This is what you get, Red.
I.
Wait, so C?
Huh?
Is that a 1 above?
It's just a line showing that the 9 became
Huh?
the square root of 9 became
Then how
a
you become it?
positive 3. Okay, so what do you think we're gonna do on number 3?
Same thing. What time we get
So we start with square root of both of them,
Huh?
I'm not getting on phone, taking my
Fine.
and then we're gonna end up with C equals,
I mean 25.
well, first we're gonna have negative 1 times the square root of 5.
Wait, 5 times 5 is 25.
Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. It's what numbers do I take times each other to equal 5? And there's not any, right? There's no whole numbers. So we're just gonna leave that one as the square root of 5.
Yeah, square root of 5 is 25.
What is, no, square root of 25 is 5. You're going the other way.
Cause I square root of 5 and they got me 25.
Oh, yeah.
Got me? Okay, so we're gonna leave that one as the square root of 5. And our -1 under the square root becomes an I. So we have square root of 5, I.
Didn't know that's the.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
kidding.
No. That was a lot.
Now, you got that graph out to the right? Okay, this is called the complex
Here.
number plane.
Mr. Shane? Man,
Hey,
won't see you, bro.
I think it's that big box.
Yeah, that- Thank you.
Nope.
You're making matters worse.
It's over.
Just put you there tomorrow, it's fine.
Like what?
We'll put you there tomorrow, it's fine.
What? That is stupid. I'm not going back there tomorrow. Oh, Sam is coming here.
Serious, you're in high school, boy.
Shut up, Jonathan.
You're gonna be a senior next
Shut
year.
up. Shut up that big chin.
You're gonna be a senior next year. That
Yeah,
was
that's
like
not
a baby.
Our pop is super retired.
Don't worry about it.
Let's go slide.
Keep talking, bro.
Guys, this is the complex number plane. Think of it as a real number line across the bottom. Imaginaries go up and down. So the imaginary numbers are like the y coordinates.
See what time right now.
Okay?
5.
The x's would be like the real numbers.
Oh.
So for number 1, I have a equals, and that's really plus or minus 4, right? So I should be able to graph that on the real number line as 4 and -4. And then in number 2, I have an imaginary number, which is 3i. So for that one, I'm gonna mark it up here. 1, 2,
Same with shoes, because you wanna know why?
3i.
They're walking a whole stuff on his shoes.
And it would also be on the negative
You're lying.
They do.
3i.
But they're not stuck up.
You don't got the shoes.
What about 5?
I just won't wear them.
Okay, now 5, now we're gonna need a calculator. So you can do the square root of 5.
And guess what they did? Walk out and strong
1
one.
with 5?
Mhm.
Fuck all that shit.
It's 5.
More stuff than Walmart.
You don't wear
2 point something.
2.223.
What the hell?
2, 3.
Square root of 5, Jonathan.
Oh,
Okay, so that one, but it is imaginary, right? So it's gonna be just above the 2 and the -2.
Look. I think he's here. Can I check?
He'll come in, he's here.
He's literally walking on the hallway and going now.
you want us to do 9?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, we did that one, right? We did 3i. It's imaginary, so that one is the 3 and the -3i.
You don't do the negative 1 and negative 1.
The -1 became an I,
Oh,
so it's in there.
okay. What about 4?
We got 4.
Oh, yeah.
It's on there.
See, I can't write 19 on the paper.
I don't want you to flip this thing over, but look at number 2. Well, let's look at it. This is kind of new.
Is this 11.4?
Yeah, but number 2. flip it all the way over on the number 2.
So that's 11.4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have to refer for Ooh.
No, unfortunately, you guys are just the lucky ones.
This was Shane.
You're stuck.
I know they got black mods now, right?
They're fake.
Alright, when we add a real number and an imaginary number, we get a complex number. You're gonna wanna highlight or underline that.
So the,
You add a real number and an imaginary number, you get a complex number. Okay, so remember we said real numbers are along the number line and imaginary are up and down. So the diagram shows where 2 plus I is. So we go over 2 and we go up 1 and there is 2 plus I. So we get And then they say, what complex number is represented by A, right here?
Give me just time.
Right, no, I'm not using it. Oh, come on, I can just home.
We go with the Java.
So you can figure that out?
Yeah, they go,
Where A is, what complex number is that?
3. It'd be, you're like on the 3, but it's like we're -4.
Okay, so it's on
Hey,
the
come on, here, right? God.
it's on the 3 up here, which is 3I, right?
I'm gonna change the fingerprint.
And how far over to the left?
Like this one.
4.
-4.
Right.
So A represents -4 plus 3.
Well, bro, guys, can get it with your job, man. Man, get that.
Stop, but that would
You
need
know,
to
you
put
know.
it in, and I would.
No, I'm not putting it in.
I want you guys to sit down. And I
All
want-
this fucking.
I'm telling you to sit down. And Dalton, sit somewhere else.
Big dummy. You didn't actually call off the TV.
I did, absolutely.
Then why?
And you'll join in this tomorrow. Yes. So I was only recommending both times as well.
How? One day? You can't get, that's not even a warning.
There were 3
This was
warnings,
the
actually.
most
No, there
legit
weren't.
thing ever that my sister posted on Twitter.
Right,
and I
it's not
absolutely
one
loved
warning
it.
in one day, that's not how it works.
It is actually. How it
Not,
works.
that's not how it works.
The schools change.
Hey, give me a phone, man.
All right, number 3 just says to plot some more of those points on the number line. You can probably do those on your own, see if you can find them.
Okay.
I already found -2, it's right there. What is -2 over here?
Stop thinking, I just want to.
So that first one is -2 minus I. Is that one gonna be Kelsey?
Right on the -2.
So you're -2 minus I, you're gonna get back 2, down 1.
Haley, you don't wanna see
What?
So
What'd you
-3,
say? What was that?
I mean -3.